Well, the BRICS summit has officially began, and we are now witnessing some very significant updates from it. And in this video, I am going to be breaking this down. So welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So if we take a quick look at what just happened, guys, Bloomberg, American media, is now finally admitting that we are not successful at all in attempts to isolate Russia, and this is now a very big thing to focus on. Why? Well, because as we try to isolate Russia, it accelerates all of these other nations coming together to actually join forces with Russia and the BRICS nations. This BRICS summit is so crucial to focus on, and the moves that Russia is making is also very significant because guess what? It is accelerating the agenda that is being pushed, meaning whatever Russia is starting to do and the technology that they're using will typically happen in the United States as well. And a lot of the BRICS nations are now pushing for a CBDC. Now, if we go over here, we have here the West, Russia is isolated. This is Russia. So this is actually at the summit. You could see all of the leaders around the world from China, from India, and so forth coming together to actually meet at this. Now, obviously, yes, a lot of these are BRICS nations. But outside of that, this was a very, very significant view of all of these major leaders from around the world coming together at this summit to talk about the plan of action, which is to move away from the US dollar, start trading in local currencies or in another currency. We know that the BRICS are trying to push for a new currency. And what this is doing is it's accelerating the digital movement of currency, meaning we are now transitioning away from paper-based currencies to more digital-based currencies. And this is also going to accelerate the CBDC narrative. Now, also, we have just in, Russian President Putin says it's a great mistake to use the US dollar as a weapon. Remember that this is originally the problem that actually started this big issue around de-dollarization and also accelerated the move against the US dollar.
You said that the dollar was used as a weapon. It is true, and we see that. I think it is a great mistake by those who do it, since the use of the dollar, which is still the most important tool in global finance, and its use as a political tool undermines trust in this currency, thereby reducing its capabilities. We are not the ones who do that, it's others. We are not rejecting the dollar or fighting against it, but if they don't let us work with it, what else should we do? We should seek other alternatives, and this is exactly what we do.
Now, listen, as we really think about this, I want to take a step back. The timeline for reserve currencies is typically around roughly 94 years. It's been well overdue for a new reserve currency since the US dollar has taken that position. And at the same exact time, we are seeing the US dollar receiving cut after cut after cut. And I keep saying, death by 1,000 cuts. And as we look at the BRICS, you could technically say brick by brick by brick, they are becoming a very significant force. And we are now in that time where it's not so much we are looking at what's the next reserve currency. It's more so what's the next financial system going to look like? Because if every nation is pushing for a CBDC, all of a sudden we don't actually have a reserve currency. What we will have is a global bridge currency, which will be a neutral currency, not controlled by any nation. And that will be the settlement vehicle for these CBDCs, stablecoins, tokenized things of value. And that's exactly where we're headed. And a lot of the major organizations like the IMF, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, even central bankers are also pushing for this, the BIS as well. Now, we also have over here, BRICS officially adds 13 new nations to the alliance as partner countries, not full members. Look at how significant the BRICS are becoming. Every single month, we see massive announcements coming from the BRICS. Yet, mainstream media is not reporting on it. That's why when we saw this is the first time that I have actually witnessed an American media outlet telling you the truth. Now, outside of that, at the summit, there was a ton of great big announcements. Here we have BRICS has adopted the final declaration of its summit, and they're actually planning to submit the documents to the UN. But here's what's inside. Need for reform of global institutions. The Bretton Woods international financial systems institutions, including the World Trade Organization, should be reformed to better represent developing countries' interests. BRICS opposes unilateral, prohibitive, discriminatory, and protectionist measures taken under the pretext of fighting global climate change, including carbon emissions, adjustment mechanisms, and taxes. They support comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including the Security Council, to make it more representative, and notes its centrality in the system of relations between nations. Now, also, we have new initiatives. BRICS members recognize the potential of information and communication technologies and bridging the digital divide between nations to aid socioeconomic developments. They intend to transform the new development bank to serve the needs of the 21st century. BRICS supports the creation of a new technology platform to strengthen development cooperation, including by creating high-tech products using domestic technological potential to fuel sustainable and inclusive growth. The organization agrees to explore the creation of an independent cross-border settlement and depository infrastructure known as BRICS Clear. It's also ready to strengthen cooperation to develop medicines, including vaccines and nuclear medicine projects. And they welcome the creation of a united transport and logistics platform. The declaration supports Russia's proposal to create a grain exchange to promote rules-based trade in agricultural products and fertilizers and minimize disruptions. And expanding cooperation, declaration welcomes the expanded use of national currencies for transactions between BRICS members and their trade partners. The document highlights the importance of expanding cooperation based on common interest and further building up strategic partnerships among BRICS members and continuing to implement the bloc's economic partnership strategy. The bloc welcomes interest shown by countries of the global south towards BRICS and calls for greater participation of the least developed nations, especially in Africa, in global processes. And then, of course, opposing global crises. The document condemns the illegal use of discriminatory and politically motivated sanctions and highlights their negative impact on the world economy. BRICS is opposed to the deployment of weapons in outer space and supports strengthening the global non-proliferation and disarmament regimes and implementing a Security Council resolution on measures to prevent WMDs from falling into the hands of terrorists. It calls for strengthened ties between law enforcement to aid in the fight against narcotics. Bloc members outlined their positions on the Ukrainian crisis and took note of proposals for mediation to bring the conflict to a conclusion through negotiations. BRICS expressed support for Palestine's full-fledged membership in the UN. The declaration condemns Israel's attack on the UN employees in Lebanon and the Patriot terror attack of September 17th. They welcome the creation of a Haitian Transitional Presidential Council, and Electoral Council to resolve the crisis plaguing the Caribbean nation. They also expressed concern over the escalating of violence and worsening humanitarian situation in Sudan and called for a ceasefire. The declaration criticizes the politicization of human rights and double standards in the area. The document expresses opposition to all forms of discrimination in sports as well. So, again, there's a ton of big announcements within this. The main thing that we're really kind of looking at is the reform of the global financial system, specifically the organizations that have a hand in pulling the strings. We're starting to see a completely different world order essentially taking place here. And even as we look at the IMF, right, and we also look at the International Monetary System, things are starting to change because recently the BRICS also pushed for a completely new organization similar to the IMF that would replace it. And if we go back in time, right now, we are seeing all these crises. We're starting to see the economy slowing. We're starting to see a lot of things slowing around real estate. And everyone's looking at the big news, which is, when are we going to collapse? Because it almost feels like that's unavoidable at this point. And if we actually look here, right, we have the international monetary system collapsed in 1914, 1939, and 1971. 2008 tested the system, but central banks delayed the inevitable with QE. Now they are eating losses. A collapse often signifies the rebirth of a new system. So many signals represent we are getting closer. More trade in local currencies, gold being stockpiled, CBDCs, hot conflicts around the world, BRICS getting bigger, the Western financial system being weaponized. It would be easy to continue to go on. This is what happens when the foundation shakes. And you know what's crazy about this is gold and silver. Guys, go look at how gold and silver is performing right now. Guess what? Typically, gold and silver perform the way that they are doing right now when a crisis is on its way or right around the corner. All of this is leading to a big reset. And it's all around a new system. We are seeing a new system becoming a reality. And this is something that I have warned about for so long now. And even as we go over here, right? Russia is working on creating a settlement and payment infrastructure that would bypass the SWIFT payment system based in Belgium. Vladimir Putin is calling for an alternative international payment system that could prevent the United States from using the dollar as a political weapon at the BRICS summit. We are witnessing a completely different world order. We are starting to witness a shift, a complete shift in the way that things are going to be moving around the world. We're talking about the way that things are transacted. We're talking about different networks. We're talking about completely different technologies. We are witnessing a global monetary system revolution in real time. Yet so many people are asleep at the wheel while this is ongoing. When we talk about Ripple, when we talk about XRP, when we talk about a lot of these digital currencies, the reason why I bring them up so heavily is because a lot of them are connected right back to what we are witnessing right now. We're talking about, CBDC players. We're talking about, players around cross-border payments. We're talking about a neutral bridge currency, aka XRP, that has been trialed, it has been tested. As we are starting to see the foundation shake, as we are starting to see the global landscape shift, there's one thing that comes to mind. And that is the inevitable reset of our global monetary system into a new financial system. And anyone that thinks that this is not happening, think about how much has gone digital. Everything around you is going digital except for money. Yes, majority of the transactions, yes, most of the payments, everything like that are, online through a card, through a bank account, through some sort of, payment means. But we're talking about the rails. The rails have not gone digital. They're still on antiquated rails. That's the last major change. Once that changes, finance, money, everything is now in the digital age. We are witnessing a shift in real time. And the BRICS are at they're in the driver's seat right now. The United States is in the passenger seat. They will catch up, and they will also push the same exact agenda, because right now, Russia is pushing for a CBDC. A lot of the BRICS nations are pushing for a CBDC. It's only a matter of time until the United States also pushes for some sort of digital programmable currency, digital dollar. It's going to be a stablecoin, because we already know that Congress banned the term CBDC. So be on the lookout for that in 2025. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.